I don't know if there is words for that. What a crazy year. I showed up late to spring training because...
This is Jesse with the Improbable Podcast. Freddie Freeman's future coming at you.
I knew that there was a potential of something happening. I can't say enough about the A's organization, what they've done for me. I've been here since 2012, so almost 10 years, my whole baseball career, and it's bittersweet leaving. Obviously, I know Atlanta is an amazing place, World Series champs, my hometown, and so if there was one place to go and leave here, that's the place to do it. So, like I said, bittersweet, but excited about what's to come.
If you don't want to get benched this season, don't strike out. Hit that like button, swing at the subscribe button, and hit a home run on that notification bell.
Going to Atlanta and the A's receiving a bunch of prospects, and we'll learn a little bit more about what Oakland got when we bring in our big gun, Jim Bowden, who joins us live here on HQ. Jim, before we get into who those guys are that Oakland is getting in return, tell us what this does for the Braves and why they did it.
Well, they wanted to bring Freddie Freeman back. They made significant offers to bring him back. However, they felt like it was not going to happen, and they decided to pivot and make the trade for Matt Olson, who, quite frankly, is 3 years younger than Freddie Freeman and extremely talented in the middle of his prime years, only 27 years old. And as you mentioned, 39 homers last year, 111 RBIs, a Gold Glove defender at first base. So, the Braves have this run right now where they can win back-to-back World Championships. They're going to have Ronald Acuna back sometime in May. To have Acuna and Olson in the middle of the lineup, they just couldn't wait for Freeman, who appears possibly be heading to the Los Angeles Dodgers, according to some of my sources. They seem to be pretty close to doing a deal. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But for Atlanta, to go from Freeman to Olson, not much of a loss as they try to repeat their championship.
And you've confirmed this deal, Jim, and it's likely the end of the Freddie Freeman era in Atlanta, though some would say, hey, we've got the universal DH now. Any chance that the Braves could bring him back as a DH?
No, I was told that they are moving on from Freeman because they couldn't get a deal done. The window to trade for Matt Olson was closing on them. They knew they had to pull the trigger. And quite frankly, they were able to come up with a deal that they were comfortable with. Now, there's a lot of people that are going to criticize them for giving up their top two prospects, and they gave up two really good defensive players, and that's what Oakland gets back in this deal. Shea Langeliers is the catcher, former number one pick, is a tremendous defensive catcher, can catch and throw. I don't know how much he's going to hit, but defensively, he's got a chance to be a Gold Glove catcher. In center field, you've got Christian Pache. This kid can fly, has great range, is a really good defender. There's a lot of questions on whether or not Christian Pache is going to hit enough. But Oakland got a really good catcher defensively and a really good defensive center fielder in this deal. And they get two pitching prospects, Ryan Cusick and Joey Essex. Both of those guys should be able to Oakland down the road. So I think Oakland did well here. But for the deep farm system that Atlanta has, they still have a top outfield prospect in Michael Harris, who, quite frankly, I like better than Christian Pache, and they were able to not put him in that deal. So I thought Atlanta did really well in this trade. I know Braves fans will be upset, but looking at the bright side, they've got a world championship, and now they've got a much younger baseman with similar talent.
Matt Olson to the Atlanta Braves, but they gave up some good prospects in return.
Yes, Matt Olson to the Atlanta Braves, which, again, the dominoes start to get pushed around a little bit because that means Freddie Freeman likely not going back to the Atlanta Braves. But it's a pretty good package. We'll talk about this. But Matt Olson, age 28 season coming up. He is one of the top 5 first basemen in all of baseball. He was 3rd in OPS plus in the American League last year. Here's Matt Olson right after this deal this afternoon.
I knew that there was a potential of something happening. I can't say enough about the A's organization, what they've done for me. I've been here since 2012, so almost 10 years, my whole baseball career, and it's bittersweet leaving. Obviously, I know Atlanta is an amazing place, World Series champs, my hometown. So, if there was one place to go and leave here, that's the place to do it. So, like I said, bittersweet, but excited about what's to come.
It's a blockbuster. Olson, again, 9th in WAR last year, slugging first baseman. Mark Bowman from MLB.com saying that Alex Anthopoulos, that's GM of the Atlanta Braves, held back tears as he discussed having to make that trade that ended Freddie Freeman's tenure in Atlanta. Said it's the hardest thing he's had to do. But I guess we'll start there. Dan, I mean, they let him get to the end of his contract. I mean, he's a franchise player. They signed him to an extension. I'm going to have the shredder on Freddie Freeman later. The more you dig, the more you like the guy. He is a foundation player. They let him get to the end of his deal.
Maybe the Braves just assumed that was a marriage that was going to last forever. And there didn't seem to be. Now, this is just me from the outside looking in. Like, there was a sense of urgency to get Freddie signed after the All-Star break, heading into the postseason. They have this magical run. They win it all. And it was hard to imagine Freddie Freeman wearing any other uniform than that of the Atlanta Braves. But I felt, Brian, after the World Series was over, that you started hearing rumblings from the inner circles that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't a priority and Freddie Freeman was really going to start to look elsewhere. I really felt, Brian, going into December, right before Christmas, I thought it was 50-50 at best that he was going to be back wearing a Braves uniform. They let this go on too long, and I think right now, after the trade today, I don't think there's any way that's going to happen, he being back with the Braves.
You see, the numbers are comparable. Look, they're swapping a 28-year-old first baseman for an age 32 first baseman. Freeman will be going into his age 32 season. But I want to get into the psychology of it. At the World Series, John, and I've mentioned this to a few people, everybody, including like Mark DeRosa was there, and he's from Atlanta, saying they're bringing him back in. They've made assurances. Yeah. I said, what happens when he gets home and he's now a free agent? He's talking to his wife and he's getting wined and dined, and teams are going to say very nice things about him, to his face, over dinner, and they're going to push money in front of him. I thought he's going to go. So how is this such a surprise? But Braves fans are surprised.
Oh, they've got to be. I mean, it looked like a marriage that would last forever. But I know Dan has felt this way for a while, just from talking to him, that this was a possibility. This did drag on quite a while. I think in last spring, Freddie Freeman expected to be signed, and he wasn't at that point. So there was some thought at that point that maybe it wouldn't work out. So, I can't say we're shocked. Now, I was a little surprised when it came down like that. I thought Freeman would make the call first. But, I understand it's a tough business. You probably like this decision, though, because it's a cold decision.
I don't
look
like
at the
cold
numbers.
Decisions. No.
There's similar numbers.
Yeah, look, no.
If you take the emotion out of it.
I think, actually, because, look, I like, ruthless GMing. We talk about that on this show.
Right.
But I believe when you have drafted, developed, and identified your foundation players, you keep them around forever. That's good business. And if Freddie Freeman aged right in front of them while he's making big money, so be it. They've already gotten all this surplus value out of Freddie Freeman. Yeah. If you're a new club now, you're like, you don't have that history. Yeah. Like, any money I pay you, I need it back. With the Braves, it's not that way. So no, I'm against that. I think you keep your foundation,
I'm with
guys.
you on that, because I think that we probably would have just taken that one more year. We think that he was offered around 5 for 140 at some point. Maybe they come up a touch, but not. I don't think they gave that 6th year, but I don't blame Alex Anthopoulos in this at all. This is a decision above him.
If you can't get the money for him, for Freeman, you have to make a move. And if that is the case, well then, Anthopoulos made a fantastic move. He got a top 5 first baseman to replace another top 5 first baseman.
He did. When you break it down, 39 home runs, 111 runs batted in from Matt Olson. Hit 22 of those home runs against left-handed pitching. So he's an everyday guy, really good defensive first baseman. He is a terrific player. With that said, Brian, he is going to have a lot of pressure on him when that season starts, because Freddie Freeman has become a household name. And if he gets off to a slow start, a bad opening weekend, a bad homestand, you're going to start to hear grumblings. Matt Olson is a terrific player. I hope he doesn't go to Atlanta and try to do too much. Do what he's done as a member of the Oakland Athletics, and he'll be just fine. You can't replace Freddie Freeman, but hopefully he can kind of bridge that gap. There's a long standing relationship between Freddie Freeman and that Braves community. And I'm sure Braves fans right now are a little blindsided by this, because I feel like the staunchest of Braves fans thought, okay, this will go to the last hour, but he will eventually be playing first base for us again.
Is there extra pressure? I mean, he was a schoolboy legend in Atlanta as a high school player.
That helps.
I mean,
that
does that help or
that helps?
Does that
It helps.
more pressure?
But you're right. Look, Tino Martinez going to the Yankees and replacing Don Mattingly, booed early on, and Tino is the best possible guy. But you're right. I think that helps. But again, Freddie Freeman, it's the best possible representative of your franchise. And by the way, process at the plate, his base running, his fielding, everything points to he will age quite well. We'll dig into that a little bit more. We're going to put Freddie Freeman into the shredder. Matt Olson going to the Atlanta Braves. That means more than likely Freddie Freeman not going back to the World Series champs. A lot of free agents out there, some big ones as well. But there are two that stand above the rest: Carlos Correa and Freddie Freeman. These are franchise-changing players. So today, we're putting Freddie Freeman into the shredder. Freddie Freeman is going into his age 32 season. That is significant, and we'll get to that. Overall, last 6 years, he's been overall the very best first baseman in baseball and one of the best hitters in the game. Let's just look at the last 3 years at the position. This includes the shortened 2020 season. Freeman is number one in WAR, just barely ahead, by the way, of Matt Olson, who just comes over now to the Braves from the A's, but also number one in OPS plus, and far and away number one in runs created. That's a volume stat, and Freeman fills that. He rarely misses games. That matters. There are players who put up good rate stats, and then there are players who play all the time and put up good rate stats. There's a difference. Staying healthy, playing through small injuries, being reliable. Manny Machado, Paul Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman, guys like that. You can go back the last 2 years or the last 6 years, and Freddie Freeman is the major league leader in runs created. Again, that is a cumulative stat for hitting. Going back to 2016, it's Freeman, Betts, Trout, Goldschmidt. So for the past few years at least, Freddie Freeman has not just been an elite first baseman, he's been one of the most valuable players in all of baseball. Now, the only downside is he has done these things age 26 to 31, and he's now turning 32. We've done studies of the good and bad signings on the free agent market in baseball. And on the by and large, what you really want to buy is a 27-year-old shortstop, as young as possible and playing the difficult defensive position. What you want to avoid then is the other side of that, a 32-year-old first baseman. That's Freddie Freeman, a player with very attractive hitting stats. These are the big hitters, but whose best years are behind him. So let's take a look at some of the great first basemen of the last generation. These are the top guys. Albert Pujols, age 28 to 31, OPS plus 176. That's monstrous. OPS plus from age 32 to 37, whoops, way down to 115. Miguel Cabrera, in his age 32, 33 seasons, OPS plus way up at 161. But that was his cliff. Age 34 to 38, it's down to 99. Take a good look at that. That is just below league average. League average is 100. Joey Votto, age 32 and 33, big-time hitter. OPS plus 164. 34 to 37, that number is down to 117. Now, Votto bounced back big time last year. I know that, but still a step down on the whole as he gets older. Now, I have to say, I was a bit surprised doing a quick look at some big-time first basemen and the aging process. Paul Goldschmidt looked like he was declining for a little bit there. He bounced back his last 2 years. Those are years age 32 and 33. Jose Abreu looked like he was starting to decline. He bounced back nicely last 2 years, age 33 and 34. So, the prime of a baseball player is still age 26 to age 28. But a big hitting first baseman, and we're talking the elite stars here, seemed to be very productive, age 32 and 33. After that, though, the odds are stacked against them. So Freeman, age 32 coming up, 6-year deal, takes him to about age 37. Now, do we know that Freeman will decline in those years? No, we do not. And I have to say, there are some very good signs of a player who will age well. First of all, Freeman just had the best base running season of his career. His base running runs, this shocked me, plus 3.3. That's a good base runner. There's a reason why he led the league with 120 runs scored last year. It wasn't just his teammates driving him in. He's an effective base runner. And his fielding metrics are still above league average. Defensive metrics at first base are kind of dicey. I get that. And maybe Freeman is better than this, but he was plus 2 in defensive runs saved and plus 3 in outs above average last year. A good base runner and fielder, that guy ages better than an immobile slugger. And at the plate, guys, I want you to look at this. Freeman's process is excellent, and it's getting better. His O swing percentage was the best of his career in a full season. He's not chasing pitches. His swinging strike percentage was the lowest of any full season in his career. Over the last 2 years, he only has 14 more strikeouts than walks. That's rare these days. Freeman was also number 1 in baseball in expected batting average and 5th in xWOBA, the overall quality of contact and power. I call this the Alan Trammell effect. When I was doing Hall of Fame research on Alan Trammell, should he be a Hall of Famer? Of course he should have been. I found the deeper I dug on Alan Trammell, the more I liked Alan Trammell. The deeper I dig on Freddie Freeman, the more I like Freddie Freeman, even though he's what I usually don't like, a 32-year-old first baseman.
That was exactly what I was thinking. The only knock you could say on this guy would be age 32.
Yeah.
Every other demographic that you look at referring to his game, whether it's base running, it's hitting, it's swinging the bat, playing the field, whatever it is, it's hard to knock anything he does, just the age being 32 years old.
Yeah, again, Paul Goldschmidt was a guy who was a good fielder and a good base runner, and he still is. Those guys usually age better. I was very heartened as well looking at, hey, how much, it doesn't matter how much money you were going to pay this guy, but swing percentage, his control of the strike zone, it's getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, terrific player, one of the best in the game. There's everything to like about Freddie Freeman. Obviously MVP a couple of years ago, helped them win the World Series last year, very clutch. I mean, I don't even mind the age. I think he's going to be really good going forward, as you've suggested. He's one of the best players in the game, so we shall see what happens to him now. I mean,
what is the market saying essentially? Because now, again, there's a new age of baseball ops looking at this and going, he's 32, he's a first baseman, we don't like that.
Right, the old days, the 32-year-old. I mean, we saw Pujols get $250 million. Obviously, he's in an all-time great category, but still, 10 years is not there for any 32-year-old anymore. I was surprised that we heard they were in the range of 5 for 140, something like that, a little above Goldschmidt. I thought they would do better than that. I mean, you know, and we'll see where the Dodgers are. They like to go fairly short term, so I don't know they're going to go longer, but they may give him a better AAV, assuming if he goes to the Dodgers. Yankees do want him bad, though. I mean, left-handed bat. They need a left-handed bat. They've been in on this. They have not been confident. But now that it appears we are probably down to 2, I guess you don't know what the Cubs or the Red Sox might be doing, but probably down to 2. They can't consider themselves a long shot anymore, but I would say Dodgers are the favorite.
Well, boy, they just get better and better. I think the Dodgers, again, baseball ops on the by and large, you don't like this, but I think the deeper you dig, the more you go, wait a second, look at what he's doing at the plate. And I'll say this, too. It's not just analytics and the new whiz kids looking at the game the way we talk about the game on this show. Pujols, long-term deal. Prince Fielder, same year, long-term deal. Cabrera, long-term extension. Joey Votto, long-term extension. And within 2 years, everybody's looking at those deals going, oh, boy, wow. And those are the deals that are a weight around a franchise's neck. Not the little deals, not the short-term deals, long-term deals for a guy who's going to be 40.
It is. He's missed a grand total of 7 games in the last 4 years. So if you're worried about availability, this guy is the poster child for a guy that posts up. You can count on him for 150 games plus, unless something happens, you can't look into a crystal ball. He's as sure of a thing for the next few seasons as an everyday player as you can get.
He even said he was a clutch hitter, and I didn't correct him. You see that? Because
you know it's right.
His win probability added is there, and he hits good pitching, and he did it in the playoffs. By the way, Matt Olson, you saw Matt Olson's right up there on the leaderboard with Freddie Freeman. So the Braves replacing him quite nicely, and here's who they get. A's on the other side, Ryan Cusick, Joey Estes, Shea Langoliers, and Christian Pache. What do we think of the A's, by the way, are very good at making trades. They gave up a lot here, but how they have stayed relevant and basically a 90 to 95 win team over the last couple of years. I know last year they dipped back down, but they're still a winning club. They do well on these trades.
Yeah, I mean, they've been a 90-win team for the majority of years over the last 20 years. They do an incredible job. Pache, obviously a terrific talent. You know, we didn't see it last year necessarily, but he's expected to be a star. Langoliers, very good defensive catcher. So looks like a very nice package.
When the A's or the Rays are calling you to make a trade, you just go, oh, wait, hold on a second. Like, what names are you talking about? Then you immediately call baseball ops and say, what about this guy? Why do they like this guy? Like, why do they even say his name? So the A's do very well on these trades.
MLB.com, the Braves, listen, right now, the Oakland A's have gotten the Braves 1st, 2nd, 6th, and 14th overall rated prospects in this deal. So a good move for the A's.
Yeah. And for the Braves. Right? Olsen, you got to give to get, but right.
Hit that like button, swing at the subscribe button, and hit a home run on that notification bell. Thank you for watching the Improbable Podcast. Have an improbably awesome rest of your day.